If the wars of the past were fought over territory and land, the wars of the future will be fought over natural resources, and China is trying to ensure that they have natural resources that can sustain their national economy. They are digging across Chinese provinces as well as outside of China in the Pacific, where the Chinese companies are looking for the next big pool of natural resource which can sustain the Chinese economy. And in 2019, China discovered 1.12 billion tons of geological reserves of oil, and out of which 160 million could be recovered. The current state of technology, Chinese companies all across regions like Tibet, Xinjiang, they are investigating and exploring natural resources that have not been tapped, and that's part of the push the Chinese government has made in recent times to ensure that they don't have to rely on international markets for oil or other resources. Though China remains dependent on Russia and other countries for oil, but it is looking to reduce that dependence as much as possible, and that's part of the push for China going out to the Pacific, where they are also looking for natural resources that can be tapped without increasing reliance on countries like Russia, which may not be as reliable in terms of the supply of oil. And that's what we saw with the recent pact that the Chinese tried to sign with the Pacific countries, though the pact did not go through. But the Chinese companies will try to look for ways to engage the Pacific countries and find natural resources. It is said that China has invested almost $2 billion so far in the Pacific for the mining and exploration activities, and that's the figure that is publicly available, but it could very well be higher than what we know. The close coordination between Chinese state enterprises as well as the Chinese companies is well documented, and we know that that's the case with the exploration of natural resources under the sea. There is an organization which is known as China Ocean Mineral Resources Research and Development Association, or in short COMRA. This organization has multiple contracts from the International Sea Authority, that's the Jamaica-based United Nations organization, which gives out contracts to explore natural resources under the sea, and these are territories that might not fall under the national territories of nation states. In 2001, COMRA, which is the association responsible for exploring natural resources, signed a contract with ISA, and this contract was for the Clarion-Clipperton fracture zone in the Northeast Pacific. And if you look at the map and where this fracture is located, it's very close to the US homeland, and the same organization has signed contracts in 2011 and 2014. So these Chinese companies, which sometimes have ties to the state or are independent, are going out to explore natural resources in different regions of the world. And we know with the geopolitics that's playing out between China and the US, these regions are becoming contested, and the recent agreement that China tried to sign with the Pacific nation was to create a collective agreement with these states so that China does not run into a problem where they have to once again deal with the US. So they're trying to bypass US's influence in these regions by signing contracts directly with the Pacific countries. The Pacific countries have pushed back so far, but we'll have to see how they find a way to challenge the Chinese companies that will come back again for more in the future. We also know for a fact that organizations and agencies like China State Oceanic Administration have been interested in exploring natural resources beneath the Indian Ocean, and in 2015 a proposal was sent to the Narendra Modi government to explore the natural resources under the sea, which is next to our coastal regions, and that proposal did not move forward because of the tensions that were escalating between India and China around the Belt and Road Initiative, and therefore the Chinese companies were deterred from expanding into the regions